Iran nowadays is a top attraction for the media with their alleged nuclear arsenal and oppressive regime. This regime was founded by a revolution 40 years ago. What lies behind, and largely ignored, is the fact that the predecessor of this regime, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, was one of the most brutal tyrants in the history. And this tyrant was created by the United States and Britain. In 1919, the founder of House Pahlavi, Reza Shah Pahlavi, saw the birth of his first son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. He grew up as a spoiled kid in the palace of Sadabad and later was sent to study in Switzerland. Then he enrolled into the military academy. He grew up as a fanatic admirer of Western culture. Meanwhile, World War II was ravaging Europe, starting the road that would lead Pahlavi to power. Allies, fearing of a possible Nazi invasion of oil-rich Iran, has invaded the country. They needed a proxy to hold Iran in check, and this proxy was no one other than the power-hungry Prince Mohammad Reza. Allies forced Shah to abdicate for his son in 1941. They were hoping for the new prince to be a pro-West leader. They got more than they hoped. The Shah is dead. Long live the new Shah. Throughout the war, Shah let the Allies use his country as a highway to supply the Soviets, establishing the so-called Persian Corridor. The United States flooded the country with funds for the beloved Shah. However, not everyone in the country shared Shah's love for the West. Especially the oil reserves in the country was a major argument. In 1951, Iranian parliament nationalized the oil reserves. This decision has infuriated the British Empire, as the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company was very profitable for the British. Shah was losing his control over the country. What's more, the main advocate of this decision, Mossadegh, was elected as the Prime Minister. British Empire had to act quickly. An embargo was put on Iranian oil, destroying the already damaged economy of Iran. However, this matter has turned into a matter of pride for the Iranians. Mossadegh did not back off. So plans for a coup was taken into consideration. Churchill went to the Americans, as Mossadegh was quick to act and had expelled the British from the country. He was cunning, as much as he was proud. Meanwhile, Shah was waiting for his time in the palace. The American president at the time, Truman, was against the plans for a coup and was in favor of a more diplomatic approach. Churchill had to wait for Eisenhower's presidency to get the help he wanted. Eisenhower was afraid of a communist movement in Iran, so he lost no time siding with the British. That was the moment that Shah Reza would become handy. His degree of approval was crucial for the success of the coup, and he was more than willing to cooperate. Operation Ajax was on. On August 19th of 1953, Shah issued a decree dissolving the parliament and appointed the loyalist general Nasiri as the prime minister. However, the parliament had declined the decree and Mossadegh had Nasiri arrested. Shah, seeing the initial failure, fled the country, but the British had not given up yet. Mossadegh, thinking that the coup was suppressed, sent his supporters back to their homes. This would be his last mistake in his political career. Shah's supporters arrested him and Shah returned to Iran from Rome. Thousands greeted him at the airport. As usual, democracy fell with a thunderous applause. Thanks to oil-rich reserves, Shah quickly became the most powerful leader in the Middle East. He invested millions in infrastructure and military, and Uncle Sam was very generous to his guard dog in the region. Shah's army was equipped with the most modern American weaponry. Before Reza Pahlavi, the main actors in Iran were Russia and Britain, but now it was the United States. Iran joined the Eisenhower and Baghdad Pact against the Soviets. Iranian oil rigs were sold to American companies. American presidents competed to receive him in the White House. Iran would be the first Muslim country to recognize Israel. Meanwhile, no one was clapping for the Shah. These were drastic changes for a conservative country like Iran, and Iranian religious leaders quickly became the main opposition in the country. And just like in every other dictatorial regime, the Shah had to oppress the opposition with force. Thus, SAVAK was born. SAVAK operatives, trained by the CIA itself, quickly became the nightmare of opposition with its unimaginable torture and interrogation techniques. Just like Stalin, Shah also routinely killed the directors of the Secret Service. The first director of SAVAK, General Timur Bakhtiyar, was assassinated by SAVAK operatives in Iraq. The agency had 15,000 active agents and more than 30,000 informers. It even spied on Iranian citizens living abroad. There were hundreds of torture houses across the country. SAVAK would be the guard dog of the regime till the revolution. Meanwhile, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi was living a lavish life in his palace with his wife Farah Diba. His personal life was a major attraction for the American and European magazines. On October 26 of 1967, he coronated himself as the Emperor Shahanshah, claiming that only now Iran was worthy of an emperor. He was also a die-hard Francophile. In 1961, the Francophile Mohammad Reza visited Paris to meet his favorite leader, General Charles de Gaulle of France. Mohammad Reza saw height as the measure of a man and a woman. At the 7-foot-tall de Gaulle was his most admired leader. Mohammad Reza loved to be compared to his ego ideal of General de Gaulle, and his courtiers constantly flattered him by calling him Iran's de Gaulle. Shah was also a passionate reformist. His dream was an Iran that was free of tradition and religion, and instead of starting from the core, he went with brute force with his white revolution. With this program, he wanted to industrialize the country as well as making it more secular. With this decision, he had made Ayatollah Khomeini and other religious scholars his eternal enemies. To equalize this opposition, he tried to make a land reform, giving lands to the peasants to create a loyal lower class. However, this was widely unsuccessful. If a dollar went to the people, the remaining 9 went to the yes men around the Shah. He also gave voting rights to the women, although there was a single party to vote for. However, he ignored the realities of his country. On the top of that, he made it mandatory for the mullahs to write an exam to work in mosques. When objectively analyzed, White Revolution was nothing more than an act to modernize and industrialize the country. Shah succeeded in increasing women's rights and distributing the lands to the peasants. However, he had thought that he could transform the whole country to his dream country with a simple order. Instead of doing this over time, he tried to force his people to change, just like any other enlightened dictator. In 1975, Shah closed down the Congress. This decision has achieved nothing but uniting the opposition. From Islamists to liberals, everyone was united in a single front. Even SAVAK was not enough to suppress it anymore, though CIA and MI6 were pretty sure that Shah's control was firm. A few months before the revolution, British ambassador in Tehran, Parsons, had sent a report to London, stating that religious leaders did not pose a threat to Shah. He couldn't be more delusional. 1979 came with mass protests. Religious leaders called the people to streets. Military of Iran, lacking any riot training, shot at the protesters, which only served to anger them. In 1979, Islamic Revolution happened. Shah's army remained neutral in the conflict, refusing to fight against their own compatriots. The revolution has marked the beginning of the Islamic Republic of Iran as we know it today. Ayatollah Khomeini landed in Tehran and was cheered by the conservatives, Muslims, and atheists all alike. Oppression remained the same in New Iran. The only thing that changed were the oppressors, as the tradition goes in Middle East. What happened to the Shah, you might ask? He fled the country just before the revolution, first to Turkey, then to Egypt, Morocco, Mexico. Wherever he went, Iran demanded his extradition. In October, he was finally accepted into the United States. This would be his last stop. In his final year, he wrote his memoirs, known as Answer to History. In his memoirs, he blamed his government and SAVAK for the failure. Just like every other dictator, everyone was guilty but himself. My most sincere thanks for giving up your precious time on my humble video. I would be even more grateful if you liked the video and leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel and take a look at my other videos as well. Have a wonderful day.